When it's time to begin, it's on the Rewind-A-Raw with John Pollock and waiting. Me 18, that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Rewind-A-Raw for Monday night. Download it Tuesday morning from the Post Wrestling site. It's Rewind-A-Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the Mic.
And hello, everybody. It is John Pollock and Jack Wannan who is sitting in tonight for a vacationing waiting. We are just coming off all of the news that we just discussed on the XL version of Rewind-A-Raw, going through the Rousey Carano card from Saturday night at the Intuit Dome, the announcement of Conor McGregor's return, Best of the Super Juniors, and Mason Rook. All of that covered in the news rundown. But Jack, we are here. It is a Monday night. We have a packed week coming up. We have got Double or Nothing and Saturday night's main event this week. And after tonight, we've got the completed Saturday night's main event lineup. And it is technically 2 hours of wrestling that has taken place on Saturday, as all their focus is on the show in Italy in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't really know what the standard is to grade the quality of a Saturday night's main event card should be, because sometimes it's the main event's a number one contenders match. Sometimes it's John Cena's retiring. So I don't really know where this one kind of scores on the list.
This one, the hook is a non-title match between Becky Lynch and Sol Ruka.
Right.
That's going to be your big test of if you are going to be sitting down for 2 hours on Saturday. But we will get into all of that. A heads up that over the weekend we had a ton of coverage of all the various shows out there, including Kate from Montreal and Bruce Lord running down the ROH Supercard of Honor event, which the NWA podcast owned. Ray Williams was there holding court at the press conference, getting Tony Khan to talk about many different subjects, questions galore from Ray Williams. So a shout out to him as well. And you can hear Ray and all of the advocates on the NWA podcast that dropped on Sunday night. And you have nearly 6 hours of their thoughts to go through, covering the past month from the New Day leaving WWE, a Double or Nothing preview, Ray's trip to cover Supercard of Honor, the death of Ted Turner, lots of topics covered on the NWA podcast. Plus, we had a Collision course over the weekend, and I did a show with Eric Marcotte covering the Rousey Carano card. So a lot that you can catch up on and plenty to come this week. But tonight we are starting with Raw in Greensboro, North Carolina, the First Horizon Center. Last number from WrestleTix, 9,151. And they ran this building almost exactly a year ago for SmackDown, which was, they were down 23% this year, at least in terms of WrestleTix's final numbers for these shows. So don't know what the gate was, but it is following this trend where we are seeing, they were doing incredible attendances a year ago. They're still doing very good attendance, but it is down year over year and in this exact same building. So we're starting off with Roman Reigns arriving, and Adam Pearce is all ready to fire Jacob Fatu. This is the only man who walked in ready to fire a guy, and by the end he had a pay-per-view main event. So Jacob Fatu played his hand really well here. Pearce is arguing with Reigns, and then all of a sudden Jacob's music starts playing. And so Fatu comes out, and he tells Reigns he can come get him. So the Usos walk out first, and Jay's furious. He's got a chair. Jimmy asks, "What are you doing?" He says that you are all about improving your life, and part of that is acknowledging Roman Reigns like you said you would after Backlash. He said, "What are you going to do? Get fired? Go back to your old life and end up back in prison?" It's that's a slippery slope from a WWE. That's quite the timing of, you get cut by WWE, you could end up in prison.
It's a slippery slope, and I hope that nobody falls under that soon.
Yeah, this is the WWE contributing to the incarceration rate after their recent releases. So Fatu strikes Jay and Jimmy and puts the Tongan death grip on both of them, allowing Roman Reigns to blindside him and attack. And they are exchanging strikes. He goes for the Superman punch, and again, Jacob catches him in the Tongan death grip, and it's broken by Jay's spear. Then Jimmy hits an Uso splash. Then it's a 1D, and they tie him in the ropes for Reigns to hit a series of Superman punches and punctuated by a spear to leave Jacob laying in the center. And as the Usos and Reigns are leaving, out comes Adam Pearce. He's all about, he's ready to fire Jacob Fatu. Just send him packing. He's not even give him a no compete. But then Fatu gets to the microphone in time to challenge Roman Reigns for tribal combat. And Roman Reigns just accepts, just like that. And Michael Cole saying, man, that's going to have to happen maybe at Clash in Italy in 2 weeks. And wouldn't you know it, Adam Pearce went for it. And he's got his rematch with Roman Reigns at the PLE in 2 weeks. How did you think the segment came across?
Yeah, I thought this was a really solid opener. I'm honestly like pretty gripped by this storyline still. I like the numerous sort of interesting characters here. I like Roman Reigns sort of being above the law and horsing around Adam Pearce to get what he wants. I like that the story here is that Jacob Fatu got this match not necessarily because he earned it per se, but because he just got to Roman Reigns' ego, which matters so much to him, that because he won't be acknowledged, he needs to get another beating out of him. And honestly, I like the position of the Usos here, who are like maybe a little over the top with what they're saying, but like trying to be the voice of reason of like, listen, like you don't need to do all this. You lost this match and you need to like, they're playing a really good role that balances them in that sort of middle ground between heel and face.
How do you see this match going in Italy?
Well, if it's under the stipulation, what's the stipulation again called? It's tribal
combat. So this is what they did with Reigns and Jay and Reigns and Sikoa. So it's the winner is the head of the family.
Commentary kind of optimistically mentioned that Roman might fight this alone. I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I think it's going to be a run-ins galore and that type of match. Mm-hmm. I don't think this ends with Jacob Fatu winning the title, to be honest with you. How do you see this sort of playing out?
I see it similar to what you're suggesting of like plenty of run-ins, and I think it's going to be similar to Backlash, where it's like Jacob Fatu is going to put up this big fight and ultimately falls to Reigns. And I wonder what you do with him afterwards, if it's something similar to what they did with Jey Uso all those years ago, where he first feuded with Roman, and then he kind of took like, he just accepted his role underneath Roman for them to get behind Jacob down the road. Because I don't know where you go with Jacob after this. If it's 2 losses to Roman Reigns, I think that's the end of the feud. But I think they want to keep these guys linked, and depending on what they do, if Jacob like just takes a role underneath Roman and they build it for something like next year or something like that.
Well, I think that just because of the incredible charisma that Fatu has, which I think really alone has sold this rematch and why people want to see it, is just he's so easy he can market himself so well. Just because of his charisma, I don't think like a loss here really diminishes him that greatly. He can move on to something else, like he has done many times before after a loss, and the crowd will still be fully behind him. I think the fact that like I could see him going like joining Reigns' new iteration of the Bloodline, but the fact that you have guys like Solo Sikoa running around on SmackDown also tells me that you can just kind of separate him from this, and there isn't going to be this huge issue of like, well, why isn't he doing stuff with Reigns anymore?
You could definitely see like Sikoa and Tala Tonga getting involved, and that's like the whole Bloodline now comes together for Roman.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've teased that. This would maybe be the match to do it. Finn Balor video, he talks about JD turning on him and JD saying how easy it was to do. He took bullets for Finn for 20 years, and now he's stepping out of his shadow. And Finn vows to take JD out of the business tonight. Would he take him out? So they are having a street fight, and I thought this was a pretty enjoyable match that they had. They got over 14 minutes. The crowd just wanted tables. It's all they're chanting for at the beginning. Balor brings out kendo sticks. He brings out chairs. The crowd doesn't care about any of these weapons. They only want these goddamn tables. So JD's head gets thrown into a chair in the corner, and then Balor pulls out the table, which this whole crowd erupts for.
Monster pop.
Yeah, and then they fight into the crowd, and they go into this equipment area where JD would eventually hit a moonsault off of the equipment, which looked insane. Balor comes back after the break with chair shots, and there's a shotgun drop kick that sends JD through a table in the corner, misses with the coup de grace, and is hit with a Busaiku knee and a powerbomb by JD. Then it's JD landing a top rope moonsault, and JD had sliced his back at this point. He gets knocked off balance from the top. We got the latest coup de grace attempt. This time, Dirty Dom runs in and stops Balor and leads to a superplex spot. The trash can is placed over the head of JD after Balor moves out of the way, and Dom mistakenly hits JD with a 619. So a drive-by 619 hitting the wrong victim. And we get the shotgun drop kick. JD's still underneath the trash can, and the coup de grace onto the can, and Balor wins in 14 minutes and 13 seconds.
The switcheroo with that 619 is the type of spot that, if done a little clunky, would look terrible, but they were really smooth with it, and I thought it actually looked pretty good there. They teased Finn Balor doing another coup de grace through a table like he did at WrestleMania. I'm very happy that didn't happen, because when he did it at Mania, it looked kind of clunky. I really enjoyed this match. I thought that, like a lot of WWE street fight matches can sort of have the same formula: kendo stick, chair shot, announce table spot, table finish. They had enough different things in here to mix it up and make it an interesting match. And honestly, I liked it.
Yeah, it feels like they're just holding off for one more Balor Dominic match, and this kind of feels like the end of anything with Balor and JD. Like, Balor gets the big win, and whatever you do next with Dominic, who's kind of in just this position until whatever show coming up that they end up doing this one on. But that seems to be probably the end of this Balor Judgment Day feud. I don't know how much more gas there is for this program beyond
it already felt like they had kind of overdone it a little. They've repeated a lot of rivalries coming out of WrestleMania, and this was one of the ones where I was just like, I don't need to see this. Like, I feel like we got the end.
When you got the Demon character, like, that kind of felt like the peak, and you beat
Totally.
Dominic, and I don't know what much more you needed the follow-up for, but that's, for lack of options, they've extended this one. So from there, Kathy Kelly is with Seth Rollins, who has no friends on this show. He's a marked man, but he needs to put an end to the vision. And sometimes the easiest way out of something is to run right through it. I would not suggest that in a practical sense, but that's what Seth is going to do. He also mentions he has not wrestled on Raw in 9 months, and he's going to change that tonight. He has booked himself in the main event with any member of the Vision. And so this is... I guess this was all approved. And he hopes that it's Braun Breaker, who can prove whether he's a Nepo baby who can't hack it, or he's everything he says he is. This is your chance to prove it.
I thought tonight we were actually just on a random Monday Night Raw. We were going to get the payoff to Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. This would be the night.
I mean, they teased that for like 2 segments, and then they gave you the less appealing matchup.
Yeah.
Saxton is backstage with Sol Ruka, and Saxton is so excited talking to Sol Ruka about your 2 incredible matches that you've had on Raw so far. And thankfully, Sol didn't have to play dumb here. She's like, yeah, well, I have lost these matches. And she says, I'm stoked to have wrestled 2 of the best women out there. And even though I haven't won, I've put the locker room on notice. I was like, how have you put the locker room on notice? You've come in, you've lost. Becky walks in. She, in fact, has not received any notice. She says, you're not doing very well at 0-2. You should probably just go back to NXT. Sol says, you know what? You're right. And she walks off, and Becky thinks she's convinced her, like all this shit talking, and it's worked. Well, in fact, Sol Ruka realizes if you got to make a point, you go out to the ring. So she does her whole entrance, goes to the ring, and she calls out Becky Lynch to talk. This would be like, Jack, like if I went outside into my backyard and then called you on the phone to talk when we're right here.
This is really testing the theory of if they know the cameras are on backstage, because I mean, she knows the whole audience is watching this backstage interview. They can just do
this
that.
Had
there.
to happen in the ring. Okay, this is serious. So Sol explains to Becky she's worked too hard to walk away, and she's good at proving people wrong. She wants a match right now. So Becky turns her down and mentions being a locker room leader and a mentor for the youth today. She's like, look what I did to Lyra, to Maxine, even AJ Lee, who was so traumatized she had to leave the business. You're not ready for this. But if you are ready, I'll face you at Saturday night's main event. And Soul accepts, stating she'll snatch her soul and her title, to which Becky says, oh, this is on Peacock. We're not doing a title match on Peacock. It'll be a non-title match. It's like, oh, okay, great. So I think Sol Ruka is getting her first win on Saturday. That was my conclusion after this.
Yeah. I'm happy this isn't a title match because it wouldn't make much sense that Sol Ruka, who's 0-2 on Raw, somehow goaded Becky Lynch into putting her title up. Like, I was writing something down about this, and then Becky Lynch said, this is not going to be a title match. I went, okay, this makes sense now.
Yeah, I mean, this could very well, I mean, if she beats Becky, then you have the reason to do the title match, and you could put that on the next week's show or do it really quickly after. Logan Paul and Austin Theory are with Heyman, and they're going over their plan for the Street Profits. Breaker comes in. He tells Heyman, I want the match with Seth tonight. Heyman says, well, Austin Theory is going to face him. So Breaker sends Theory and Logan out of the room and asks Heyman, what are you doing? And Paul explains how he has now set Braun up to attack Rollins because his hands will be tied with Austin Theory, and you will know where he is and at what time he will be in the ring.
Braun should have replied by saying, isn't this just proving Seth's point? I mean,
I was like, what if I just had a match where I could attack the guy? But yes, he needs the advantage on Seth. So this was their grandmaster plan that they would hope to come to fruition. And then we have our Tornado Trios match here with the original El Grande Americano and Los Hermanos Americanos against Los Americanos. I don't know if Michael Cole quite knows all the names of these people. At one point, Graves literally said, no matter how confused we all are, this match is awesome. Michael Cole insisted at the beginning of this match that he watches AAA each week. And so there was some cool stuff in this match for sure, but my complaint about this is just like, it just feels like these Raw crowds are just not into any of these guys. And we continue the whole deal where it's like Kaiser is just the heel in this equation. And I think the audience is just more confused than anything. And if you watch AAA, it's actually a negative towards how they are positioned on Raw. And it's just so counter to the reactions that these six get in AAA, where this is a main event program happening in 2 weeks' time. So bravo to go ahead.
You guys made a good point this last week, but I mean, like, showing clips of the red hot crowds in Mexico, I think would convince people to tune in way more than having these matches. The crowd really is just sitting on their hands for it, no matter how good the matches are. And sometimes, like, Corey Graves, you know, his knowledge of AAA is great, but he can get a little too inside baseball because, like, when he's talking about like the posses involved and like Pimpinella and stuff like that, I'm like, who is this for? Like, this is for like a fraction of the audience that is keeping up with you. I think that the spotlight could be they could chill a little with the AAA on the Raw broadcast.
Well, maybe it's for Michael Cole, who I am sure he was watching Netflix on Saturday night and not AAA. Bravo does a spot where he like walks over the backs of the opponents and does a head scissors onto Brutus. I'm not doing all the different names in this. They are the Creeds, and that is what they will be referred to as. Gable hits an Orihara moonsault, and then Los Americanos start stomping Gable. They get the advantage briefly, and Gable ends up hitting a German Terreo as Bravo is on his back. He did some very impressive stuff here. Belly to belly sends Kaiser flying into the floor. Julius misses a 450, and then all three members of Los Americanos load their masks with the objects. They surround Gable, who fights all of them off and hits Germans to, we get all three hitting Germans to Gable and the Creeds. Then they hit moonsault simultaneously. This is when Graves was very confused about what was going on. Kaiser throws the cape into Gable's face. There's a Rana and a diving headbutt on Brutus. And finally, one final headbutt by Kaiser with the loaded mask, pinning Brutus in 10 minutes and 42 seconds. This was a tornado tag, so there were no tags required. And it seemed that Cole was just doing his best to keep up with the six characters here and their pseudonyms.
Yes, and it was nice to have one match on tonight's card that didn't have a run-in. But listen, as much as it was, there was some confusion on the commentary desk. This is six really fun wrestlers, and they expectedly put together an enjoyable match here. Even if the people don't remember or don't even know who's under those masks, I'm just really happy that the Creeds are back in the ring and like getting TV time, because they've always been such a exciting tag team, and haven't gotten anything meaningful for a long time. So it's nice that they're in this program, albeit in a pretty small position.
We go to the back, and Bree and Paige are warming up, and my God, we had all this DoorDash promotion on the show. So we get this DoorDash, what a guy, whatever his name was, shows up, and he delivers food for Otis and Tozawa. So some
listen,
beautiful
Alpha
synergy.
Academy. We know that we haven't gotten you a tag match since February on Raw, but we got this opportunity for you this week. We're gonna have what a guy show up.
Imagine getting to the arena. You've traveled all the way to Greensboro, and you look at the rundown, and this is what you're doing tonight. You're accepting DoorDash. That's what you're on the hook for. So
I'd like to imagine that on Sunday they got the call. Listen, we're gonna need you for TV. We can't say what yet, but you got to get there tomorrow. You take the red eye. You get there. So what am I gonna do? Can you carry this DoorDash bag for me, please?
Shared experiences, communal, get the phone going.
There was one point where Michael Cole started saying something like, the code has been activated. And I'm like, what is he talking about? And then I realized it's a DoorDash ad read.
Yeah, he used the what a maneuver call and then called back to it afterwards that it's some code for DoorDash. I couldn't possibly care.
I'm glad that most of this gets muted on the Canada feed, but...
Thank God for standards. Kathy Kelly asks the Usos, tell us about tribal combat. I'm like, well, we've all seen it. It's merciless and lethal, meaning someone could die. LA Knight comes in. He's very disappointed in the Usos. He said, the three of us were fighting the Vision not that long ago. Now you're no better than them. And maybe I'm going to have to do something about it, even if I get my ass kicked, as LA Knight continues to fish for a storyline.
Yeah, LA Knight is sort of in this Karrion Kross spot where he's like the backstage truth teller, sort of going up to random people and telling them why they're mistaken in their certain actions.
That's not a great character to have in WWE.
No, I don't think it played out too well for Karrion Kross. So
or Aleister Black.
I will say one thing: they played a video package on Tribal Combat here mentioning this upcoming match, and maybe this is just me, but it kind of takes me out of things when they have this video package ready for this thing that was confirmed 30 minutes prior. It's you didn't whip this up right. I don't know.
AI, man. They can do this stuff a lot quicker these days.
They did that last week for the AAA title match, mentioning the main event, and it was voiced by Corey Graves. And I was like, did he run backstage to voice this in between segments, or
telepathy? They know what's up. Then we had highlights of a Michael Cole sit-down interview with Ethan Page. This was pretty good. He hands Cole some notes and questions for the interview, and Cole's like, I've been doing this quite a while. I don't think I need this, but he reads the introduction, putting over Ethan Page. Ethan says how he wants to rename the IC title the Ethan Page Championship, and Cole gets annoyed and asks, why do you have to act like this? You've got all the tools. You could be an all-time great, but you also have an ego, and it's going to cost you on Saturday. Page says, it's not ego, it's confidence, and I already believe I'm the best wrestler in WWE, and I'm going to put fear into the vocabulary of Penta. So Ethan's doing pretty well, I think, since this call-up, and this is a very big match for him on Saturday. It's, I don't think this is going to be a widely viewed Saturday night's main event, but he feels like he's in one of the key matches on the show.
Yeah, no, I think he could totally show out with Penta. I'm hoping that someday Michael Cole can get a normal sit-down interview with someone. I feel like they go left every single time somehow. But yeah, I enjoyed this.
Brie Bella and Paige defending the women's tag team championships against Judgment Day's Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. So they did confirm Nia Jax and Lash Legend will challenge the winners of this match for the tag belts on Saturday, and that this is also Brie and Paige's first matches on Raw since their respective returns. Perez starts mocking Brie with the yes chant, and then hits Perez gets hit with a divorce court, and then it's Brie hitting the yes kicks to Raquel while Paige is kneeing Perez on the apron, and the crowd got into this. Paige gets caught off the apron and swung into the barricade by Raquel. Liv tried to get involved, and Raquel knocks Brie down. Paige stops the corkscrew elbow, and the champions hit a double-team powerbomb to Raquel. Brie gets the knees up off a cabrada attempt by Perez, and then Liv shoves Brie off the top, and Jessica Carr catches her, ejecting Liv to wake up this crowd that was kind of just, mellowed out at this point of the show. And Perez gets the belt, Brie ducks the belt shot, and rolls her up in 10 minutes, 7 seconds, as they retain the titles, and we will get Brie and Paige against Lash Legend and Nia Jax on Saturday for the titles.
Yeah, the crowd was pretty asleep for this one, unfortunately. And it was an okay match. I mean, I don't have too much to say about it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it went 10 minutes. I wouldn't say it broke out to another level. I mean, fine, like nothing.
Didn't overstay its welcome.
No, it was fine. It was like a setup for Saturday, ultimately, although no Nia or Lash presence here. But that will be the fifth match that they've added to Saturday night's main event. And then they got the post-match attack by the Judgment Day as Liv is back. All three are beating them down, and Lyra and Bayley come down, and Bayley blocks an oblivion by Liv and hits her with the Bayley to belly, as we have remnants of a fully thought out women's tag division now. We actually have a tag program that doesn't involve the titles in the division, if you could imagine that.
I thought it was just like everyone takes turns challenging the champ.
Yeah, so we might actually get a non-title program. LA Knight meets with Seth Rollins. He knows what's going to happen to Seth in the main event. And I don't like you, but I respect you doing this on your own. And you're going to need help. But it's not going to be from me. And he just takes off and leaves. I was like, wow, great talk. Why did you come here tonight? That would have been my question. Like, the guy showed up. He has all his gear. He got dressed like he was ready to wrestle. And then he just left. It's like, I'm getting out of here.
I think if you wanted to save time, LA Knight basically explains what happens in the main event. So,
I mean, he kind of called it. He was like CM Punk being interviewed before the Rousey fight. I mean, he kind of called it if you saw his interview. Los Americanos come out during the break. This only aired if you were watching live on Netflix, and they just had Kaiser promote the Mask versus Mask match on May 30th that 90% of this crowd is probably not aware of. Then there was a Penta video, very well-produced video here, hyping up his match with Ethan Page for Saturday, and that was the only Penta involvement on tonight's show. Obafemi makes his entrance, and it is time for his open challenge, which, as soon as it was opened, it looks to be closed, because as he makes his way to the ring, Brock Lesnar makes his return, attacking Obafemi with 4 F5s, and also getting his lawyer on call over the weekend, finalizing a contract for Clash in Italy. This man had a very busy weekend, and so Brock is back and will be facing Obafemi at Clash in Italy. So this was the big story on the show, was the return of Brock Lesnar. Crowd went nuts. This was like the biggest pop on the show with the return, and obviously going to the rematch in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think this crowd was expecting Brock Lesnar to show up, nor should they, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, the issue with Obafemi is like when he squashes out someone like Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, that immediately elevates you to a status where like it feels like there's only a few people who are interesting challenges for you, and that's basically the champions and Brock Lesnar again. And it's very clear that they're not giving him a title shot within the next month. So, I mean, it was either do something like this or just keep treading water, which, I mean, hasn't hurt him so far, but eventually he's going to lose steam. I mean, he's still incredibly over, but you can only do these open challenge type things for so long. So
I think he only did, 2 of them? He did the one with Otis, and then last week was like Angel and Berto. I think that's all we got through. We did like 2 weeks of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, he needed something of substance eventually. And it's nice that they are getting to this at least sooner than later, because if nothing came of this week, I was starting to go, okay, we really need to get something going here.
Yeah. I mean, do you look at this as this is like originally I had heard this was going to be like a multi-match series between them. Do you see this being Brock getting his win back? And do you think that's the right call? Like with Obafemi, like sustaining a loss if they go this direction? Because I have a hard time imagining Brock's coming back here to lose a second match to Obafemi. I think they're going to stretch this one.
I think that Brock has to take that match. I think the interesting story here is how is he going to take that match? Because they really didn't leave much room for Brock explaining why he lost that WrestleMania match, except for Obafemi's just way better than him right now. So how are you going to tell this rematch in a way that says, actually, Lesnar has this certain quality to him?
Maybe this is their Gina Carano comeback story, okay? It was like he got smoked in the first match, and now he comes back to show his full striking game.
And the issue is, like, Lesnar is not a character that would make an excuse for a loss like a heel would. So how do you tell that story in a way other than I just want my rematch? And maybe that's just how they're going to tell it.
I think so, and it's not like you have a whole lot. I think this is this is a rematch that doesn't require a whole lot of time needed to build this up, because they've got, like, this is pretty much the setup for the match, and you probably get a promo from Obafemi next week. But coming off of WrestleMania, the match got a lot of buzz. It also aired on ESPN, so a lot of people saw that match, and the hope will be that people are interested in this rematch. Like, you don't need a whole lot more than what you got tonight and the announcement of the match.
Not to get too ahead of things, but like, how would you want that match to go? Like, would you have it like a quick one, like their first meeting? Would you make it a quick one in favor of Brock, where he sort of makes Obafemi look beatable, look human?
I think you have to create something in. Like, I'd be very careful with Obafemi. Like, beating him would not be my ideal choice right now when he is so red hot. But I don't see much other outcome to this than that. So it's like whether like Brock just catches him or something that leaves it open ended, and then maybe it's like Oba has to chase Brock to get that third match, and it's Brock, putting him off or something like that.
It's tough because when you have this sort of energy with Oba right now bottled, once you lose that, it's really hard to get it back, at least the way that you have it the first time with someone who looks like this unbeatable beast. So you really have to be careful with how you book that. Yeah,
it's not the same comparison, but like a Jacob Fatu, like, here's a guy that has a lot of steam behind him, and that to me was, I was impressed with how they pulled that off at Backlash. Like, they beat Jacob Fatu, but I didn't think he lost anything in that. And I think that's obviously the goal here, is that, like, Obafemi is your project. It's not Brock Lesnar, but I think they want to get this one to, they come back and they do the rubber match at some point later this year. Saxton interviews with Judgment Day. This is another Netflix promo, and they run down Bayley and Lyra. So look for that tag match. Pierce reacts to the Lesnar news, saying how he had filed his retirement papers. He was out of the WWE testing pool. Doesn't he have to come back? Does he have to enter the drug testing pool for 6 months before he can return to WWE?
That is the rule. Yes.
I mean, he didn't have to for Mark Hunt, so maybe here they took from that precedent.
Oh, geez.
So he sends the officials to go find Paul Heyman, and then he walks into his office where Paul Heyman is standing there, and he explains that he had filed retirement papers, and Heyman says Lesnar's retired, but he's got a contract for Clash in Italy with Lesnar's signature on it, and tells Pierce, if you can get Oba to sign this, then you have the biggest rematch in history. And so Pierce is left with this contract, and I'm going to think that he gets Obafemi to sign this contract.
What are these retirement papers? Is there like a wrestler pension?
Yeah. I mean, you get, your health care goes into effect. Your percentage of sponsorship starts to trickle in. You get a piece of the media rights deal. It's a great retirement plan for WWE wrestlers.
I'm surprised Brock didn't take it then.
Kathy Kelly is with the Street Profits, and they're all ready for the Vision on Saturday night's main event. They have their own vision. Wouldn't you guess? Their vision is winning the tag titles on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Dawkins sees Rollins in the distance, and so Ford is not going to help. And Dawkins walks over to Rollins, and they talk about last week. Rollins apologizes for Dawkins having to take the spear, but says, I've got to focus on this match. And Dawkins basically indicates that he's got his back. And before the main event, Michael Cole plugs UFC Freedom 250. We have started the promotional push for the White House card on WWE programming, of which it is noted there will be a fan fest over that weekend, which will include WWE meet and greets with Charlotte Flair, The Miz, Trick Williams, Chelsea Green, The Usos, Tiffany Stratton, and Braun Breaker.
Yeah. I think we heard something about this a few days ago, sort of coming, and so it wasn't surprising when we heard about this. It really is not surprising at all that WWE would send their some of their wrestlers.
Oh, there
to
will
this.
be WWE. Like, it would not surprise me at all. Like, I am sure, like, of those that are going to have like the exclusive seats that certainly you would imagine Nick Khan, Mark Shapiro, Paul Levesque, I'm sure will all be there. Stephanie will be there. There's going to be WWE presence, I would imagine, on camera at this event. Like, they will be in that exclusive area right on the lawn.
Is there any professional bull riding at this event?
I did not hear about any slap or PBR meet and greets.
Yeah, I want to meet the slappers.
Yeah, maybe you could just come up. You can just slap them in the face. They just stand there. That's your meet and greet. So yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, when you hear Shapiro talk about this, they are talking about how this is a status event for TKO. So I think they are in every way possible trying to associate everything about their company with this event, because they see it as this thing that they can talk about for years to come, and it'll open so many doors, and it'll introduce UFC to all these.
That's the selling feature. They're like, we're going to lose $30 million on this, but what we are going to gain in media attention. And I mean, Shapiro today in the conference, he even stated the fact, like, this is going to be like, there is going to be like regular news coverage of this event that we just don't get. It's not going to be just like sports media covering this. And I mean, if like today, like Dana White's on NPR, it's like there's going to be tons of these types of focuses on the UFC over the next month. I'm sure not all of them favorable, but it is going to put them in that spotlight. And, you know, it is going to garner a ton of attention by the time we get to June 14th, but it's also going to be one that is steeped in the political messaging that I can only imagine this broadcast is going to be throwing at you from start to finish.
Political messaging? This is a political thing?
Yeah, well, despite Dana White being apolitical,
he hates politics.
Yeah, doesn't enjoy it at all, except when he has to contact the president on, like limits on gambling debts and stuff like that. Then
Yes.
You put in a call. Then it's a little political. All right, the main event is Seth Rollins and Austin Theory, after teasing you with a Braun Breaker. So Rollins dives onto Theory and Logan Paul at the start here, and then he goes for a stomp that Theory avoids on the floor. And after a buckle bomb, Theory takes control of Rollins, kicking the steps into Rollins' ankle that he would end up selling for the duration of the match. Rollins hits a Falcon Arrow to stop Theory temporarily, and then it's Theory somersaulting into a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count. Rollins sets up for the stomp, but he can't do it because of the ankle injury. So instead he goes for a pedigree, which is stopped. Theory works on the ankle and teases his own stomp, and Rollins cuts him off with a clothesline. This is when Logan knocks Rollins off the turnbuckle when the guy was going to go for like a stomp off the turnbuckle, which I don't know, maybe that would like just pop the ankle back into circulation. So Theory kicks out at 2. Logan hands Theory the brass knuckles and distracts the ref as Rollins hits a super kick and he gets the brass knuckles. And wouldn't you know it, the referee turns around, catches him with the brass knucks, and drops Logan on the apron. And as Theory goes for a jackknife cover, Rollins turns it into a pedigree, and Rollins pins Austin Theory. Technically, this was, I thought, like a fine match that these two had, and it would seem like Rollins is going to carry this injury out of this match and have this ankle injury, because he really heavily sold it. That I don't imagine he just it isn't going to be some kind of factor for maybe his next big match or something like that.
Yeah, seems that way. And he, I guess he can't do the curb stomp because he can't do it with his other foot. So that's an issue.
No, that's his stomp foot. He hurt the stomp foot. Okay, you can't. It's like you can't be
like NFL punters.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So he's.
I will say, like, heading into this match, we had a backstage segment with Paul telling Braun, we're going to get him after the match. We had LA Knight saying, listen, you might win, but you're going to get beaten up after the match. We had the Street Profits saying, hey, whatever happens after that match, we got you. Heading into this match, I'm like, he's facing Austin Theory. I don't really care what happens in this match. Like, I'm just going to
No, they did everything to tell you like not to care about this until all the run-ins occurred. And then they actually did give you a finish before they got to all of this, but it was everything was about the post-match. You're right.
Yeah. So for me, it was a little hard to be too invested in the match, especially because remember, he's facing Austin Theory. This is not some big fight for Seth Rollins. It just happens to be his first one in 9 months on Raw.
So Logan is the first to attack, and this leads to Angelo Dawkins running down to stop Logan Paul. Theory joins in, so it's 2-on-1. So Montez Ford comes down. So the idea here is he wants to protect his partner. They've got a title match on Saturday, and Ford runs wild here. He clears the ring, and then he hit this crazy dive over the post. And it looked like he almost hit the post, like based on the camera angle here. He takes out Paul in Theory, and then Ford tells Dawkins nothing good ever happens with Seth Rollins. And while Ford is browbeating him, Braun Breaker comes down and he spears Montez Ford, takes out Dawkins with a gutbuster, and then it's Rollins fighting back against Breaker, and Logan Paul grabs Rollins' injured ankle, allowing Braun to spear Rollins, and then the officials, they stop Braun, who's about to decapitate Rollins with the steps, and Graves yells that this could end his career. So his career was saved by these officials, and that's how it ended, with these men like growling and staring at each other from afar. And yes, another Rollins-Braun match coming at some point, but not announced for anything yet. So that is how the show concluded. What did you think about the post match and what they're leading to here, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, this was decent. I think that, you know, like I said, there was something about this sort of playing out just like how everyone projected it to play out and not taking away from it. They did a good post-match brawl here, and I'm interested to see like what they do with the Street Profits and the sort of issues between them of staying on the same page. But yeah, I thought this was a decent end. Would I necessarily like did this feel like the segment that should have ended the show, especially over what they did with Reigns and Fatu? Maybe they just wanted to change things up because Reigns has been closing basically every episode of Raw for a very long time now. I think I still would have went with that as the closing segment here, though.
So going into Saturday, this is our updated lineup for Saturday night's main event. We have 5 matches. This is taking place in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Penta and Ethan Page for the Intercontinental title. Logan Paul and Austin Theory against the Street Profits for the tag titles. Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss against Jade Cargill, Meechin, and B-Fab. Becky Lynch against Sol Ruka, non-title match. And Brian Page against the Irresistible Forces for the women's tag titles. So I cannot say this looks like a spectacular card. I'm sure the wrestling will be fine on the show. It just feels like this is sort of it kind of to me indicates, Jack, like a certain level. Like these are not going to be these giant shows for the company. At least this one does not feel like it, marquee wise. No,
this just feels like to me, it just feels like a sort of dressed up version of a weekly TV show compared to a PLE, for example, in terms of
this is a fight night at the Apex.
Yeah, and this is the type of show where if you skip it, you will watch the recap on Monday and you'll be fine. Like, it's not must-see TV as much as I think that some of these matches could be really good.
How was the process for you watching Raw tonight, taking notes, and knowing that you'd have to have an opinion on every single segment tonight, Jack? How did you do?
I think I did okay. Raw is a type of show where sometimes I watch half of it and then put it down and then finish it the next day. Sometimes I just decide that I want to have it on in the background tonight. So it was an interesting experience to be actively watching it minute by minute and trying to pick it apart. I have a respect for what you and Wai do every week now that I've been in this seat for one time.
Well, I wouldn't say it was the most spectacular show tonight, but there was definitely some noteworthy points. I thought the Reigns Jacob Fatu segment came off really well. I thought that the Brock comeback, it got a big response from the crowd. Fine main event. I enjoyed the street fight as well. So there was definitely some worthwhile stuff on this show as well, and leagues ahead of Friday's SmackDown that I just thought was a just pretty terrible show overall for 3 hours.
And it seems like it's consistently that way, that Raw whether or not it's a great show, it is outperforming SmackDown quality wise. And it's just, to me, that's bizarre since, this stuff is all under the same tent. This is one company putting out these two marquee shows, and there's such a huge difference in quality between them. And I don't think it's the 1 hour difference of it being a 3 hour show versus a 2.5 hour show. I don't think that's what the difference is here. Listen, I think the biggest issue with a lot of Raws is sometimes the matches, to me especially, are just kind of okay. A lot of them can work very plain formulas. You can sort of learn how to pay attention to the right moments, and then just there's a lot of it doesn't feel like it's too important. This week didn't feel like that. I thought the matches were much better this week. The first two on the card especially were really enjoyable in my opinion, and this was one of the easier watches out of recent Raws.
Well, we are going to say goodbye to everyone on the YouTube stream, but we're going to keep going with your feedback and questions for those on the Post Wrestling Cafe. I mentioned that you can catch all of Jack's work up at postwrestling.com, from news, reports, audio updates as well. And coming up this week, we've got Brandon Davey Tuesday night. They will be live right after NXT. Wei Ting will be back with me on Wednesday evening for Rewind-A-Dynamite. And then Thursday, for Café members, we are dropping the latest edition of Rewind-A-Wai. We will cover NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, the very first show that NXT held at the Barclays Center from 2015, featuring Finn Balor and Kevin Owens in a ladder match, and the very famous Sasha Banks-Bayley match for the NXT women's title. So that is coming out
also
on
has
Thursday.
Jushin Thunder Liger on it, right?
Yes, Jushin Thunder Liger against Tyler Breeze. And my God, Tyler Breeze, night and day from what they had in NXT versus what they did with that man on the main roster. But this will be a peak Breeze from 2015. So that is all, as we will get into a time warp and go back 11 years to that show at the Barclays Center. All right, all of that to come later on this week. A big thank you to Jack and to all of you for staying up with us. We'll chat with you later on this week.